All right, good afternoon, everyone. I got a very special guest on. Get your notepads out, get your minds opened up, get your ears opened up. And it's a privilege to have Rhonda Hartman on, and I've known her. We've been best friends for over 10 years. And she is in the multi-millionaires club with several people, several of us. And she's worked very hard and very diligent. Everybody sees the glamour of making those ranks and getting those trophies and all that kind of stuff. But what I want Rhonda to share with you tonight as she comes on is how you really get there. And everybody, I promise you, you're just one decision away from the lifestyle that you want. And it's just Rhonda decided to come on and get with the program and become a leader. And so you're always just one decision away from the life you deserve. It's just you have to take ownership of it, and you have to pull out all the naysayers. You have to stop everything that's blocking you, and you've got to get in action. That means taking action. And this system is simple. So Rhonda, come on and tell your story, but how from where you and I started back when we sit on the advisory board together, all the places we've been all over the world, in different locations with Mr. Pentecost, as we helped put a lot of things together back in the day. What it really takes to get to this level is just nothing more than consistency. Well, let's just be honest with them, but let them know how easy they got it now in order to go out and accomplish everything you and I had, me and you in the last one, almost 40 years combined effort here. Rhonda, so I appreciate your time. So come on and share your vision, your passion, only like Rhonda Hartman can do.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me, Rusty and Carissa. It's so nice to be here. And it's really just an honor to be able to be here and to say that I have been here now for 10 years alongside Rusty and so many others. There's just so many things that have changed. So in the beginning of my journey, I wasn't looking for anything. And I think, this is one of those moments that we all have to remember, because every day we have the ability to have conversations with people who aren't looking for what we have. But when I saw this little advertisement, and Facebook was different 10 years ago, it was a little advertisement that showed up on the side of your news feed, and it simply said, see results in as little as 45 minutes, and it had a belly of a woman. And being a woman, that was all I needed to see. And I know you know what I'm talking about. It was just a quick, what will do what to my belly in 45 minutes? So from that moment on, my life has been completely transformed. I will say this. When I clicked on that advertisement, I went directly to the It Works website, not realizing in that moment that was probably somebody who'd paid for that ad. But I went directly to It Works and said I wanted to talk to somebody about this product and about the opportunity. Look, you guys, if I can be a lead for someone in our company, anybody can be a lead just like me that can have a vision to come in and be ready to rock and roll with this product. And so I had a conversation with someone who is long since gone. My enroller left probably 5 years ago and moved on to do something else. But when I came on board, all I had was a few questions. I don't know how many of your personalities are like mine, but if you go with the color personalities, I have a Zippo green, none at all. I'm like an even split of red and yellow. I stinking love people, and I love pouring into people, and I want to see them grow and prosper. And I have a work ethic. So that gives me my red and yellow. I'm a little bit blue, but you've got to give me like a glass of wine or something before that even ever kicks in. Like, I'm just not that party girl. And no green. So when I came on board in this business, I didn't need to know all the things. I literally asked a few questions. It really does work. It does what? I looked at some before and after pictures, and I was the epitome of what you would call ignorance on fire. I just got onto my social media and my phone and started telling and talking to everybody about what I was excited about. And I want you to think about that for just a minute. Isn't that what everybody wants in their business? Isn't that the conversations that we look forward to when we have conversations on our social media, doing host to post, or if we're working events, or we're just talking with friends or family? Don't we want that person to just like not overthink and just go in? I think it's one of the greatest blessings that God put in me was that I didn't overthink. And so it was just a matter of being excited and sharing that enthusiasm. I still to this day believe that it takes zero skill in our business, zero skill to be able to build and grow an income. It's all about your attitude, and it's all about the action that you're willing to take. And it doesn't have to be stressful. Man, Rusty, I mean, you and I were connected early on after I started with It Works and formed a friendship. And it's like, I mean, I couldn't answer all the technical questions. To this day, I still can't. But what I do know is that the products and the opportunity work. So in this journey of 10 years, that's probably the one thing that I stress the most to new distributors who come on board is please don't feel like you have to know everything in order to go out and start growing. Enthusiasm is wildly contagious. Don't you agree with that? I mean, it's like when you hear someone that is excited, and that goes for our new distributors as well as for ourselves, you know, just being able to have that tone in their voice, that genuine enthusiasm in their conversations, that's what's going to have that person say, okay, what do I have to do? How do I buy it? Do I buy it from you? That's where that conversation comes from. It's just based on that enthusiasm. Now, with that being said, Rusty asked, you know, about this journey, and yeah, it all looks glitz and glam when you're working your way to the top, but it's a lot of hard work. It's commitment, and you said that in the beginning of this Zoom tonight. It's about making a commitment to yourself. And I know at the ripe old age of almost 59 years old that I am still continuing to learn, and I'm still learning to be kind to myself and patient with myself. And it's a continuation of learning as you grow. So that commitment piece, there was a quote, I'll probably blow this, but there was a quote years ago that I used to love, and I kept it on my email, like way before It Works time. It was just an email signature. And it was, the secret to success is the consistency to pursue. I don't know who the author of that was, but it was just something that really inspired me and reminded me that every day we have choices. Every day we wake up. And I'm going to confess right now with y'all, glory. If I could have just called up and said, guys, I just can't do this tonight. I had one of those days. But I've been working my business today. I sold some samples today. I've done the things even though I didn't feel like it. And I think that is a big part of what is going to make or break a long-term career with our company. We can all earn money today. We can all earn fast cash. We can sell those samples. We can sign customers. We can get our fast start bonuses. We can do all of this, but the long term, and that's really what we want. We all start for a little now. I know I certainly did. We just needed some breathing room. But that long-term vision is really where our work ethic comes into play. And it's the ability to get back up when we fall, to have a bad day, but to wake up the next day and say, you know what, today's a new day and I'm putting on a new attitude and I'm going to do the things that I love and be passionate about it. So what, you know, historically, and Rusty, anytime you want to interrupt me and guide the conversation, I'll just keep babbling unless you interrupt me. So, but in a nutshell, you know, I mean, when I came into business, the secret sauce, the recipe for success here was to sign 4 customers and 3 distributors. And that was the recipe that we had in our business for years and years and years. Back then, you guys, and nothing against those of you who might be mass enrollers, more power to you. But that is never a requirement in our business. If I were to go back, and Rusty, you're probably feeling the same way about this for yourself, but if I go back through my history and tenure with It Works, every year, my average enrollments for distributors were 36 to 40. Okay. Truth be known, my passion really lies in our distributor program because I know and I've seen the power of what it can do for, generally speaking, in our company, not just for myself, but for others. And I struggled to get those 4 customers every month. You know, that is an honest truth. I could find my 3 team members, but it was really difficult for me for whatever reason to find those customers. But today, we have host to post, and I can say that this has not been my personal greatest months, the last 2 months, but in the spring, you guys, first time in my entire career with It Works, when I finally got on the host to post wagon, I was personally enrolling 15 to 20 customers in a month. And I've never done that in my entire career. So with that being said, change is inevitable. As we, morph through the times that we're living in, we go through changes within our company, we go through changes in our personal life. I just really believe that adapting and holding on to that vision that we have for ourselves and holding ourselves accountable is really the most important thing.
Well, Rhonda, that's exactly right. If you have a job, somebody else holds you accountable. You have to be there at a particular time. You have to punch the clock or sign in. And if you don't go put the work in, more than likely you're not going to have a job. See, people don't know what they need or what they want until we show up and share that with them. That's basically how we all got here. They showed me an applicator, or showed my wife. I made fun of it. When she had the results, they showed us what we needed, and it just took me a while to catch on. And at that point, when we call it on, we just come after it crazy. Now, I've been here 20 years, full time. Don't need anything else. I believe in building it tight and building it right, but it's getting up and showing up every single day. We all have struggles. We all have good days. We have bad days. I had the 4 years of being very sick, and there wasn't any good days in the 4 years. So I made myself do what I needed to do so I could get better here. And so we understand about depression. We understand about all the sicknesses you go through. We understand about death in your families. Life happens to all of us. And some of us muster up the courage to not let that be an excuse, but the reason why we continually attacked it. And it's not for us. It's because we want to help other people live like we get to live. And I need to ask a question. How many of you have a job? Have you been, whatever you've been doing the last 10, 15, 20 years, have you earned $1 million? Do you have the ability to earn $1 million in the next 10, 15 years? Well, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm going to tell you these numbers because it's the impact we've had around the world with the Lackeys and the Hartmans and these two monster teams and we're sideline brothers and sisters, but we've made millions of dollars each with this company in the tenure of being full-time families working from home or working from Destin Beach in the islands, where Ronda owns a nice place over there now, or anywhere we decided to go in the world. We can still have a phone, we can still work it, and be able to utilize our time to the success of other people creates sheer wealth. So if what you're currently doing is, and I want you to dream very big, because the dream is free. What will cost you the dream is the inactivity, not getting up and taking ownership of it to go to the next level. And if we can go through the things that we all go through, and we go through the hardships, and we don't go through it, we grow through those particular hardships, and we muster the courage to learn so we can help you guys for what we've already been through, what it takes to go to the next level, what is the mindset. But it's us coming together as we unified, cross line, up line, down line, sideline, as we unify together. It creates a solvency in your opportunity, and therefore it creates opportunity not only for you, but for your children, for your grand. My kids have been full-time children for 20 years, and they participate and they're doing very well with us. And it's because that entrepreneur spirit. I don't know where you could buy a business, Rhonda, for $149 and have the ability to go to work, follow a few simple steps, and have the ability to earn millions of dollars. I could never do that on a job by the time everything. And see, what I don't understand about poor people, they think everything is just a scam. It's too good to be true. So they go to work. The government takes all the taxes and all the stuff out. Then they get to live on what's left. Here at Rhonda and I and all the rest of you, we show up. We pay all the expenses and we pay taxes on what is left. So we get paid first. So for $149, you can own a business to where you get to participate in everything that a big corporation does. I just really don't see how that it could trip your mind not to want to be involved and come on. And now we're the #1 company in the world in a couple different areas. And so that means if we're already beating it on the front end and the back end, we're going to become #1 in several more areas. And from what I understand today, it's got a lot of great things coming. I just got excited all over again this afternoon, and we can't talk about that yet. But Rhonda, where do you see us going with this new 4-in-1 system, all that fast start money up front, the big Christmas bonuses? I think between now and Christmas, more lives are going to be changed financially, but also here's the key to building this big business. What is your favorite product and why? What has it physically done for you other than I've had a big weight loss and I got my health back? And everybody has 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 products that is your favorite. Telling that particular story is how you're going to go out here in the marketplace. And because see, you're not selling money, you're sharing an opportunity of results that has changed your life physically. money's the byproduct of how well you share your story. Do you agree, Rhonda?
Oh, 100%. And you know, I mean, if I like reflect back on all the years, I mean, I've jumped from one favorite product to another. I mean, our skincare is phenomenal. Obviously, the wrap was an incredible product. We're hitting that hard with some events this month. We're going to start wrapping people at events again, like we haven't done for a really long time, because that product is what earned many, many people millions and millions of dollars, right? But like at this stage of my life, the last thing I ever expected was that I was going to become a testimonial for hair, skin, and nails. You know, I mean, I always colored my hair. I had the white roots and I had dark hair. And then here comes this day where all of a sudden in my life, I had a situation where I had to cut my hair off, and now I'm growing it out. And so I will have a testimony with a product that I never dreamed would be something that I would use. And I think it's so important that we constantly keep in the forefront of our minds the importance of that personal testimonial. I remember, Rusty, I remember I've got a photo somewhere in one of my clouds of you and I, probably back in 2012. And that was when you were in the process of your weight loss. You hadn't achieved your goals where you are today, but you were in the process of that. And it's like night and day from the man that you are today, physically, health-wise, than you were then. But I remember hearing you on stage talking about when you lost your father and that time freedom piece and how you were able to be there. And I remember, you know, I have a lot of yellow in me. I'm very compassionate. I remember tears flowing down my face. Never in a million years could I have ever dreamed that I would be in your shoes one day. And I was. In 2020, I lost my father. And I was able to take the time that I needed out of my business, out of my life, to be able to be there and be his advocate for weeks on end before I lost him. And it's like, and these are the kind of things, you guys, that when we think in terms of, my computer's gonna die. When we think in terms of, you know, we work today, we want the money today, we need to pay the bills today, we have goals that we need to fulfill today, and that's what gets us up out of bed every day and has us go to work. But it's that long-term vision that we don't know what is out there. We don't know what this business and residual income is going to be for us and our family 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road. I never envisioned that. I just didn't. But you were an example of that. And you were someone that I could remember. I remember Rusty's story. And now here I am walking in these same shoes. So I think the importance of, you know, knowing, yes, we're working for dollars today, you guys, but this is so much bigger than what you are. When I joined this business, it was $100 then to join. We didn't have $100 extra dollars. You know, it was not in the budget. We didn't have anything extra. We were living paycheck to paycheck like every family. You know, when I sold my car, after I started making income with It Works, I was driving a vehicle that was valued at $2,000. And I'm proud to say that because I had a vehicle that took me around. But in retrospect, it's like we were not anywhere near where the last 10 years have brought us. And it's so important to me that people understand that. I could never have forecasted this. You know, it's only been the last 3 years of my adult life that I've actually been able to verbalize that I didn't graduate from high school, because I carried that guilt and that burden with me all of my life, feeling lesser than. And it was an opportunity like what we have right here that allowed me to take that and allow that now to become a story where I can share that experience with other people and lessen their pain and realize that that doesn't define us. Sometimes it takes way too long to get to that place. But again, remembering we don't know what the future holds, and the work that you do today, that you do tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, will be your salvation in years to come when you find yourself in a place that you never could have dreamed of. I hope that that's a positive experience. I hope it's not one of sadness. But this is that long-term vision that's so important. And it's a tricky one to try to convey because we don't know what the future holds.
Gosh, well, Rhonda, you brought up another brainstorm I just had. I went to Georgia Tech for a little bit to play some football, and it didn't work out between me and those guys. And so we gave them a scholarship back. I think I'm probably the only guy in the world that gave it back to them because they said I would never be nothing without their paper.
Mm.
I'm just so glad I didn't spend 6 or 8 years down there because I'd still be working on that $1 million. And, education does not define, now I'm not against it by all means, but I hadn't met anybody I went to school with, the lawyers and all the other guys where we just had I ain't gonna tell you how many years class reunion, but they're just struggling. They're sick. They're overweight. They're just barely getting by, and they participate in, I call it the plantation system.
Mm.
And I don't know where else we could have gone and not made a million, but multiple millions of dollars. And we're just the ones that's cookie cutted it. We're just the beginning of what's going to happen. Everybody on here, you have the ability to hit your first million. And I promise you, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rhonda, second million is pretty quick. It's pretty easy. As it in the third and fourth, all that just becomes, it starts popping at that point because it takes you to a whole new level of expectation, but a belief system that you can do it. But now I deserve it. I am worth it and I deserve it. And every day you go in and you bow up and you get your head down and you go to work with other people because you need them, your all burning desires to help them accomplish those goals as well. And therefore, money there again is only a byproduct of how many people you help, how many seeds you plant, and how those seeds multiply through your positive efforts. That's just showing up every single day. Do you agree, Rhonda?
I do. And I think part of the question you had asked me and I didn't answer was how I feel about this 4+1 program that we have. You guys, like from the bottom of my soul, I can tell you this is how to build a business. It's the art of duplication. And if we can just invest in each person that comes into our business, obviously they've got to take the steps. And a lot of people out there, y'all, they struggle with belief in themselves. But when you believe in someone else and you pour that belief into them, they can take that, and that's one more ounce that can help to fill them up in their own belief until they believe it themselves. But take these folks under your wing, give them hope, give them the ability and a little coaching. It doesn't take much. We all have upline. So if you're not confident and you're newer, reach up to your upline and do a 3-way Facebook message. That's always the way that I choose to do in recent times. And it's been wonderful because your upline can share some of their story. They can simplify and explain how simple this is. Come on, we all know 4 people. We all know 4 people who drink coffee and just might want to drop a few pounds. Like, what do you think? Probably 60 or 70% of the country? I mean, that's just reality. Like, we all know 4 people. And of all your social media, let alone the apps that you have in your phone, like how many people do you think there are out there that could use some extra income? They just don't know that they can do it. And we've got a system that's going to allow people to put that money in their pocket if they're willing to go to work. If you're willing to go to work, if you're willing to have the conversations. That's our job, is just to talk to people and ask questions. We are solution seekers. If you think about that in your business, whether it's results with our products, you guys, or if it's helping people find their financial balance so that they have peace of mind in this crazy world, that's what we have to offer. And there's so much power in that. And it all stems from us. It's not a pressure thing. It's find that sweet spot in your heart and say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to have you pick the number 5, 10, 15 conversations every day and just ask people, hey, how can I serve you? How can I help you with the solutions that I have? It's such a feel good thing. It's fun for you and they feel important that you're vested in them and in what you can do for them. Because we live in a pretty selfish world. Don't we? Sad but true. But when we're willing to reach out and have conversations, that's where that beautiful tenfold things comes in. What you do for others, and as you're willing to do those uncomfortable things and have those conversations, you bring joy to other people, and then it comes back to you tenfold. Sometimes that's in the dollars. Sometimes it's just in peace of mind. Sometimes it's sleeping good at night. Sometimes it's the joy that you get from the person that you just brought into the business, or the person that's a new customer who responds to your text or sends you an unsolicited text to say, I can't believe this. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that we had that conversation that day. That's what I look forward to every day. That's what brings me joy. And the paycheck grows from that.
all you're doing, what she's telling you, you're really fertilizing and cultivating that paycheck through this, helping other people become successful. Well, Carissa, you got any questions for Ms. Hartman?
Yes. So question, it's the beginning of the month right now. And what would be beginning of the month tips you would give for everyone? I mean, granted, one of them is running your auto ship. Put a one in the comments if your auto ship has already ran, because we already preached that, and getting your auto ship ran. What other tips would you give as far as getting the month started on the right track?
It starts and ends with us every day. So I have this little checklist. It's kind of cute. It was actually a gift. You can use just a piece of paper. It says boss lady. You probably can't see on it, but it's literally just a checklist. You can just literally write out the things that you want to accomplish each day so that you can have a checklist. I have historically been a Post-it note queen. So, Post-it notes for me all over my computer is what allows me to check those boxes off and take those little pieces of paper and put them in the trash. But for 20 years, I've been in this industry. I was 10 years with another company before I came to It Works. And my belief has always been the same. And with our simple system we have here, you guys, it's if we will treat the first 2 weeks of the month like we do the last couple of days of the month, and you know what I'm talking about. Come on, put a fire emoji in there in the chat for me so I can see that you know what I'm talking about. We bust our booties come the end of the month because we have goals, and we know somewhere along the line we probably dropped the ball. So if we commit to host a post in the beginning, the first 2 weeks of the month, make that your go time. Set your goals on how many host a posts you want up, or how many conversations. Like I said, 5, 10, 15, pick your number. But make that commitment to yourself and then do that diligently for those first 2 weeks. You know what happens? It's like magic, because when we put the effort in, we've planted so many seeds. We're having so many conversations. We've asked so many questions of people. We've got host a post up. What happens is throughout the rest of that month, as those first 2 weeks, you're knocking it out. Now last 2 weeks, you're responding to all the seeds that you've planted. So you're doing follow-ups, and these are the tasks that will allow you to get all of those enrollments to come in. We know that sometimes that happens along that way when we're working in the first couple of weeks of the month and we're having those conversations and putting up posts, but y'all, that gives us so much to follow up with. Have you ever gone through a month? I'm raising my hand here on this one because this was me last month. Have you ever gone through a month and at the end of the month, you're like, I've not had enough conversations. Where are all my people to follow up with? We all have to have those moments of clarity and be honest with ourselves and say, I can do better. I can be more structured. And if you take those first 2 weeks of the month, I promise you, like, your business will explode. If you're doing the things in those first 2 weeks of the month, you're going to coast through the rest of that month and just have all these leads pouring in, and you'll be signing up customers for all that work that you put in the front. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. And that makes, it makes things so much easier for you. You realize how much you can accomplish. Your 4 and 1 is done early. You can probably throw a second one in there and get a 8 and 2, or maybe even a third one and get a 12 and 3. So I love that. All those tips make sense to me. I would love to do Post-its. I would love that. I gotta add that to that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Any of you guys questions?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's pretty amazing. So I just had a thought. I'm going to track right now. I've got a yellow legal pad where Rhonda has her little notebook. It's empty, and I fill these pages up. I'm going to track down how many meaningless conversations I have a day, but I'm also track how many meaningful conversations. It's easy to talk and rant about stuff that has no value, just meaningless conversations. And if you train ourselves to have more meaningful conversations, and Ron, I want to ask you a question. What do you think about trying to get in so many 3-ways a day, like you and Ray and Rob and I, we all did initially? That's all we had. That is a very powerful source. I've got some brand new people on here that are just literally blowing it up because they're reaching out to people, getting us on the phone to do those 3-ways. Third-party validation is the most powerful thing. Even your children, when you listen to somebody else tell them the same thing you just told them, believe them before they'll believe you. But what do you think about the third-party validation?
Oh, I think that's everything. Honestly, for my newest distributors who have come in the last several months, I mean, I personally do that and I extend that to the rest of the team as well. But when you can have somebody come in who has a story that might be different than your story, somebody that has more tenure. I mean, I think about Rusty, I'm gonna bring you in on some of my three-ways so that you can share your powerful story. But you know, there is so much power in the concept of being better together. And I think sometimes we can have a tendency to feel like somehow that makes us lesser if we bring someone into the conversation, like we want to do it ourselves. And so sometimes I think people can hesitate on partnering in that three-way conversation. And if that's you, if you've ever felt that way, I just want to assure you that you are going to be doing the same thing for your team as your business continues to grow. I have gals that are at the rank of diamond, and we still do three-way conversations so that they can tell their story. They've got a rapport with that person, and then I can come in and just kind of help maybe close, make it full circle. Not necessarily close that person, but just make it a full circle. Because, I mean, think about it. The concept of better together, you guys, we can't do anything ourselves. I would love to have an upline. I would love to have an upline that would be willing to pour into me or into my team. Okay, so if you've got that, my advice is take it and run with it and learn from these people that are willing to come into these conversations and help you build and grow your business. Learn from what they do, and then in the months and years to come, that's going to be you doing that exact same thing with the people who are part of your team.
To add to that, I do three-ways for my own self. I got people on this Zoom right now. I call them as the expert, the slick lip from out of town, and I use them to do three-ways, and they're on this Zoom right this very minute because they got great stories. It only validates what we're trying to get across, and it shows unity and teamwork. And I've never turned down a three-way for anybody in the company, period, in 20 years. Never. Chrissy, you have any more questions?
So my next question will be in reference to some people may feel as though, you know, the world is over because someone decided either they wanted to join the witness protection or they decided not to work their business. What would be, or maybe just left, you know, because we all experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get up and continue to keep moving past it?
You know, I can relate at that being something that can make you feel like the world is ending, because I had my moments of that too, early on in business. But you guys, if I were to tell you how many of those people in my business in 10 years have done that, we have to get stronger as we grow. The bottom line is that what's going on in that person's life is not what's going on in your life. And as much as we want to love people and we want to love them to the top of this company so that they can transform their lives, we can't spend our time in places where they're not ready. It doesn't mean that they might not come back at another time. They might not come around. They might unblock you. Have you ever had that happen where somebody blocks you out of nowhere? It's the craziest thing. But I think we just have to, you know, I know that as women, and I know most of us in our business model are women. I respect the men that are here because you got to put up with us, and I say that lovingly. But you know, we can be very emotional. We can take things personally, and we are our own worst critic. And I think if we can just look at ourselves and recognize that there is nothing wrong with you, that you're not doing anything to disrupt your team growth by making sure that you're staying connected with people and you're coaching them and you know, running by their side. If they drop out, if life gets to be too much for them, it's their journey. And I just always fall back on prayer, because I believe that that is the greatest way to release any ill feelings, you know, because we can get hurt, we can feel resentment, but just to pray for that person and their journey and then move forward. It's a kind of a bless and release kind of thing. And it is tricky. I don't deny that. And I want to validate your feelings if you're feeling that way, because it can definitely be tricky, but just, you know, pray for that person and then move on and do what you do. And don't allow that to disrupt your passion, your goals, and the direction that you want to take your life. And remember, the more passionate you are, the more enthusiastic you are. On social media, the more exclamation points you use. Like, let people feel your enthusiasm and your excitement, because that is contagious, and the right people will drop into your business in their timing. So as long as we remain consistent in doing what we do, the right people are going to come. I'm not sure if that answered your question, but I gave it my best shot.
And it was very lovely. That was a lovely answer, a response. It came off I loved it. Just it sounded way better than what I would have said. So that was like a way better, softer way. I love that. You gave an answer like Mel would give too. It was I love it. I love it. Okay, so tips. How's Host to Post working for you? How did you get into the group?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How did you get into the groove of it? How's it working for you?
Oh, Carissa, I was so late to the game. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest here. Like, I mean, I think I need to wear a crown and just call myself the queen of never too late, like in everything in life. You know, sometimes we think we know, right? And so when Host to Post began to be a thing, I've always worked my business a certain way. I'm very relationship focused. I like to connect with people. I like people to know that I respect them. And so for me, I was like, oh, that Host to Post thing just isn't going to be for me. You know, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Sorry, that's probably inappropriate, but you know what I mean? It's like this. It felt super awkward for me. So it wasn't until spring of, it was right after COVID started. So spring of this last year. And I know so many of my own team, y'all, were doing their Host to Post things, and they had their own groups, and I just wasn't involved in it. I mean, we are independent distributors, right? So we got to do the things that work for us. But Host to Post to me is absolute magic. And I may not work my Host to Post in the same way that you work your Host to Post or you work your Host to Post. But the way that I work my Host to Post is definitely relationship focused. And that's just what works for me. So when I start a process of doing that, I want to get to know that person. I'm going to ask them questions. I'm going to find out, what their life is like. And, I'm so grateful to be connected. I want to hook you up with the right products that are going to get you the right results. But tell me a little bit about you. What's your life like? And just kind of do rapport building. And I realized that for some people, and again, we're all independent distributors, so we get to work our businesses our own way. For some people, that would be a waste of time. They want to just, get people in and sign them up. And hey, you know what? Whatever works for you. So I may take it a little bit slower, but I have to say that when I'm focused on Host to Post, and it's a priority in my business, I'm signing 15 to 20 customers a month. And again, I said it earlier, like, it was hard to get 4 customers back in the day. Don't ask me. I mean, I know it's a mental thing. I know that's all it is. Any blocks that any of us have are just our own thoughts getting in our own way. But it's magnificent. And I think the secret to Host to Post, and I don't know how y'all teach it or how you do it, and it's not even important, but the secret is to find your groove. You know what I mean? So it's like, what works for you? So if getting 10 Host to Posts up a day is overwhelming for you, and I'm not giving you permission to say that's overwhelming, but for me, getting 10 Host to Posts up a day is just like my brain just can't keep up with it. So I need to take it down a couple levels and focus on consistency. And so for you, that might be 5, it might be 7 Host to Posts a day. It might be 10 conversations, 10 asks a day. It might be 20 asks a day. It might be 50 asks a day. It's completely up to you on how you do that. But when you find your groove, that's where the magic happens, because otherwise it can be overwhelming. Does that make sense?
That does. I mean, that's why I wanted to know, because some people may need that way to get into it, instead of going right in for that deep dive. Because when I went into dive the first time, I said, hold up, anxiety, boop. No. It took me 6 months to come back. So I that you actually said it that way. I mean, so you're basically asking someone to Host the Post for you after you build the rapport of them becoming a customer, or
Well, okay, so I was directing that conversation as if I've just met somebody who's interested in my product. Okay, so like somebody that comments on a thread, I'm not a huge fan of copy and paste, so I oftentimes will use a voice memo and say the same thing that is in, that's in what your copy and paste conversation might be, but I use my voice to do that. It just works for me. And again, I think that's what's so important is, you've got to figure out what works for you. So yeah, so that conversation would be like somebody commented and I'll reach out to them. I'll ask them on the message thread to send me a friend request, or I'll tell them that I'll send them a friend request, and then I'll go into the messenger box and just say, hey, I'm so excited to introduce you to this product. I want to learn a little bit about you and let's talk about your goals. I mean, so I'm taking a moment, and this, again, like this works for me. And if it's not your thing, it's okay. Go, do your thing, do what works for you. But that's the pace that I happen to choose to do. It just works.
I mean,
works for me.
everybody's heard a lot of the other. That's why I wanted to hear what you do, because this might be more of someone else's speed, maybe more of their personality. Maybe they're not red driven like, some of us are who really don't like to talk a lot or or things like that. So that sounds great to me. I mean, that might be something that others as well may need. And so is that helping you wean out people? Because I'll have maybe 20 people comment, 10 will read it, 5 will do it. Stuff like that.
No, I think that's a pretty fair, I mean, I'm trying to sign them up for a product first. That's the conversation that I'm having when they comment on the post and they're interested in the product. So I'm gonna work on getting them the products that are gonna help them hit their weight loss goals. And then once I've got that done, then I'm gonna ask them to put a post on their wall. And sometimes I find that there's a little bit of a lag in there. And I think sometimes for them, it's they want to get the product, they haven't tried it yet, and then all of a sudden they get it and they're like, oh yeah, those gummies taste good, And so when I hit them up a second time and say, hey, I know you got your product, would you be interested in popping this post on your wall? And then we go that route. So, I think it's so important, Carissa. I mean, you said it, you were overwhelmed in the beginning. And when I did try to do the 10 per day, and I felt like I was going to pull my hair out of my head. Like I was super stressed out and I just felt like I was maxed, and I thought, I don't know how these girls are doing this. And I know for each of us, it's going to be a different experience. So I had to decide, okay. And I share this very openly with the girls that I work with, the people on my team that I work directly with. It's like, I may work my business different than you choose to work your business, and that's okay. But I'm going to coach you to do the things that I know are going to help you to grow an income the fastest. So I will admit this, and Rusty, maybe you will relate to this. Maybe you'll slap me afterwards for saying it, but I do work my business different today than I did in my building years, in my first probably 7 years in the business. So the point is that, like, I mean, I'm at a place right now where I have grown residual income. I'm not sitting on that. I'm not sitting back and not doing my job. I'm still leading by example for my team. I'm still showing them this is how you continue to grow your income, but I may not work at that same pace. And I think when we respect the people on our teams in that way, when I can look at, Susie, who just came into the business and she's got big goals and she needs big money fast, I can give her the coaching and she can put that time into her business so that she can grow that income as fast as she wants. But if I have Mary, who works 2 full-time jobs, but she wants to get out of that second full-time job, and I can show her how to do this, she can take baby steps, and we can still respect the people on our team and allow them to do things at a different pace, maybe not our pace, but at a different pace, so that they can grow and prosper and their confidence can grow, and then they can do more. You know what I mean?
I love that. I mean, that's also getting you a lot more potentials, because the people that are putting the post up for you are already your customers, and that way they're like the cosign for the host to post. So
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good idea.
With all of look at how many loyal customers we have on board, whether you've personally enrolled those customers or you've had somebody on your team that was here for a season and they enrolled customers who still continue to order or at minimum have active accounts. These are all people that we have the ability to service. Whether or not we choose to make the time to do that and to reach out to those customers is up to us. And again, it's how much time are you willing to put into your business to make it grow? But I look into my organization and oh my, over the years, so many people have left, and there are so many unattended loyal customers that are still a part of my business. So making that a part of our regular practice, even if it's one day a week for 30 minutes, just reaching out under different legs and making connections and just saying, hey, if that's something y'all decide to do, I mean, I know this is a little off topic, but if you decide to do that, I don't say, hey, I'm Rhonda, I'm Lori's upline and she quit, and so you are her customer. I don't go through all that. I just say, hey, this is Rhonda from It Works, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm here to take care of you. Are you familiar with our newest product launch? We launched cold brew, and it's incredible, or something to that effect. And that can be done by emails, or a lot of people still have their cell phones, their cell phone numbers in the accounts. But we're really sitting on a wealth of people that we have the ability to reach out and touch. And those people may be using the product. I mean, there's probably people under you, Chris, who have probably been using the product for years, don't have anybody servicing them, and they may not even know that they can become your distributor. They may not even know that they can sell this product they've been using for 16 months. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
I got that. I had that happen. I have a girl that right now she was an LC of a canceled DT that's been canceled now for like 3 years. And I noticed she was still continuing to order. And I reached out to her. Now she's my friend on Facebook, and she still continues to order every month. And so she's been an LC now for over 4 or 5 years.
Oh, I love that. That is such a powerful story. And there's so much truth in that. So, I'm going to share one more little nugget. I'm not sure if you had any other questions for me, Carissa, but one more little nugget for those who have been around the business for a while. Carissa, I'm probably talking to you for sure. Rusty, for you. I had this moment of clarity last year that gave me such incredible peace. And maybe even for some of you who might be newer, and maybe you had that disappointment of somebody who enrolled and then they, maybe signed a couple customers and then they, disappeared. I had this just awakening, and it gave me such an incredible sense of gratitude when I wake up every day and I look at my business. And every time I open my commissions checks, and we all know that those can fluctuate, but if you're getting paid with It Works, the people who come in to your business, even for a season, some a long season, some a short season, many of those people that they brought in, you are continuing to receive income on every month. And I had this moment, like there was a girl who left my business who had a ton of success. She went straight to the top of the company and opted to leave a couple of years later. Okay. And this woman, when she left, it was not a comfortable situation. I was hurt. We had a friendship. There were a lot of those emotions that were tied into that, even though I know it's business. But being human, it was a tough time. And when I had this moment, I thought, my gosh, she's been gone for 3 years and I continue to earn residual income on the customers and team that she had while she was here. Whoa. Like if that doesn't give you a sense of gratitude, that's residual income. Not everybody's going to stay here with us. But if we do our job and we continue to teach duplication in our teams, we have to wake up every day with that gratitude and realize sometimes business isn't perfect. Sometimes our checks are less than what we would like them to be. We see peaks and valleys. That's the nature of being a business person. But what other business can you have where you can have residual income when those people have long since gone? And that was a gift that they left you for being a part of your business. Woo! I have chill bumps just speaking those words again.
Wow, Rhonda, thank you so much. I mean, I just get excited every time I get to hang out with you for a while. It's been way too long since I was able to hang out with you and ready to together. But I appreciate you coming on, spending your valuable time into this team. This is one of the strongest growing teams in the entire company right here. Actually, this is one of my longest running teams in the entire company. And but Rhonda, if you need anything from any of us, three ways or Zooms or whatever, Chris and I were in. I can bring a whole host of people with me that's got some very powerful stories. And I'm just excited for the future. I think your 10 years and my 20 years has been worth it to where we are now. I know these new people are coming, but now they're going to get in and get to reap the benefits of y'all and us and all the people's been here. And they call us, I think, the pioneers. That we've stuck it out just for the guys that are coming in now. Now they're going to get to have that run like you and I've had. And I promise you, this is going to be the biggest run that any of us have had in the history since I've been with Mark. It's posturing up. And I just heard something today that at the first of the year after you have this run, there's another bigger one even coming right after the first year. And it's going to start in December is what I understood. And I could be wrong. I know, don't quote me on it. But today I got, you know how the chills run up your back and up your ears and you just like, you go numb for a minute. So if I were you, my advice to everybody here is work like you've never worked before, pour into people like you've never poured into before, change more lives than you ever have before. And in that, with that result, the law of reciprocity kicks in. The reciprocation of you going out and planting all those seeds and helping people find who they are, and where they want to go, giving them the direction. It secures your future. Rhonda just told you the most prolific story. People come and people go. I don't care if it's a medical field, if it's a church, if it's whatever. You're just dealing with people. But you're going to find out those people that are meant to be with you, they're called your forever people. So don't hold on to those temporary people like they're your forever people, because they're not. They just hold you back. Shake loose of the weight and take everything that God gave you, make your break for freedom, and take the ones that deserve to go with you, take them with you. Because I'll tell you what, some of those guys will pan out to be your forever people. And then 20 years from now, you'll be telling all these stories to your grandchildren. Rhonda, thank you so much. I love everybody. You're valuable to me. Until tomorrow, make this the best evening you've ever had. Good night.
Good night.